And welcome back to the MMCast / Masters of Modern podcast. I'm your host, Alex Kessler, here with my co-host, Ben Bateman.
What's up? What's up? What's up? How's it going, guys? Alex is on the road. I'm pinch hitting.
I know.
With the tech specs here. Doesn't really happen very often, but we're making it work.
This is my hotel room in Youngstown, Ohio, the city of my people. This is the city I was born in. I was born here.
You were born here. You've gone back to the heartland. You are LeBron.
Yes.
You're LeBron of the toy world.
I am. I got, we got Handel's ice cream here. We got hula hoops here. We got Squat Creek. Kind of that's gone. Milk. We got Handel's ice cream here. It's great.
Your dad loves Handel's, right? It's his favorite in the world.
Oh, it's the best ice cream in the United States. I'm willing to say that. I've had a lot of ice cream here. We have best ice cream in the United States. I'm gonna stick a flag in that and say Handel's ice cream, best ice cream in the U.S. There's some in LA. They have two locations, one in Long Beach and one in the Valley.
Well, we've definitely had it in the Kess office before. We've done the Handel's ice cream thing.
Yes,
it's exciting. Yes. It's an exciting day. It's good ice cream. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
We're not here to talk about ice cream. We're here to talk about Magic. So what do we got going on this evening?
Well, today was the first Monday, the fourth day of the Modern Horizons preview spoiler season. We've now Modern Horizons 2. We've now gotten a bunch of cards, some brand new cards, some reprint cards going into the format, some just reprint cards in new border, completions of cycles, etc., due to our preview card that's coming. Because I'm traveling, we're not able to do our normal Monday Night Commander game. So this is kind of our version of doing that, basically. And so we're instead of playing, if we think they're going to be modern viable, react to some of them. There's some insane cards here. There's some cool cards here. There's some probably overrated cards here. Though pretty much across the board, I'm pretty hyped. I'm a little confused, and I'm interested to see if chat can help us understand how the printing process is working as far as reprints versus new cards versus etc. But I'm hyped. We're in the midst of it.
There's definitely some cool stuff. There's been some really, really cool stuff previewed. We had there was like a mill card I saw that was previewed that I was pretty excited about. There was a Squirrel card. There was a sword. There's some big stuff. Some exciting things. I believe, Alex, that our preview card will be posting tomorrow. Is that true?
No, that is untrue.
I was wrong. Yeah, a week from tomorrow.
Correct.
Is that right?
So we have two preview cards. The first one posts next Monday, and the next one posts the following Tuesday. Today we did release an episode kind of on our thoughts on all the announcements that happened with the Pro Tour in regards to the changes made, the fact that there's no longer going to be a not MLB, that's Major League Baseball, an MPL. Moving forward, along with some other announcements, and so that's definitely recommend checking that out when you get a chance. But today we're talking specifically about this is our first time talking about Modern Horizons. We did do a preview episode or like a prequel episode a few weeks ago talking about the few cards we had seen preview plus our predictions, and so far we got some of them right. We said we thought Counterspell was going to be in it. We talked about swords, and those are in it. I mean, that was a low ball. That one was a pretty easy to assume inclusion, but we got some sweet stuff coming out.
Yeah, so a couple people in here hanging out. We have Cosmos on 2000. Glad you made it. Stoked to see you here. We've got Dylan Jones. We got Move to Combat, Kaneko K. Bunch of cool folks that are hanging with us. So yeah, guys, thanks for showing up. Yeah. I know we're a little laggy. It's understandable. We're getting some hotel audio video, but bear with us. We are going to be excitedly talking about things. What's up, Rob Flow 3, Jarn 29? We're excited to have you guys here. So Alex, lead the charge. What are we talking about?
All right, so let's talk about some of the early stuff that was previewed as I posted to Facebook last Friday. So I think that's kind of the easiest place to start. We're not going to talk about any of the Forgotten Realms set stuff, none of the Dungeons and Dragons stuff. That's something that I think we'll save until another day. But the first one is, and this is I think one of the big ones people are talking about on Friday, is Cabal Coffers.
Huge one.
Is now a modern, and I think we talked about that. I think she even brought it up when I asked the internet what cards people wanted to be included. Rare shifted to Mythic, so that's kind of a high, like definitely a choice. But we talked a lot about like, does this make a cool almost Eldrazi or a Tron deck, but using like actual good cards that are black? You require black mana versus color mana to kind of like create a similar Tron situation. I think we figured out like to get to the 7 mana, you need to do it's turn 4 with Urborg and Cabal Coffers. But then in the meantime, you can be thought seizing your opponent. You can be playing other cards that were previewed this week. You can be playing kind of a more mono black devotion list that then just like is able to top end with Karns and Ulamogs, etc. So I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, this was a big card a long time ago in the old Torment days. This was a card that mattered. Everyone loved this card. It was a black heavy set, and so it's. I mean, that's one of the coolest things about the modern Horizons sort of way they're doing these sets, and it seems like there's such a history of Magic now. They're going to be able to do this a handful more times. They're going to keep getting to add old cards into the format slowly but surely, to the point that Modern will just become, as we've said for many years, Modern eventually will just become what Legacy once was, and Legacy will become this kind of like in between format, this sort of strange like in limbo format that does have certain things we're never going to get in Modern. There are certain cards in Legacy that are definitive cards, but a lot of the stuff that's in Legacy we're going to get in Modern slowly but surely, and it's happening. As you mentioned, Counterspell, Cabal Coffers, these are significant adds to the format now. So I think Coffers being at Mythic's a little suspect. The fact that all the fetch lands are at Rare, but this is at Mythic, is a little strange. I'm going to be so much more disappointed to open a Mythic Cabal Coffers than I would be to open any of the fetch lands at Rare, which is funny, but such is life.
Well, Cabal Coffers is $100 card, right?
Is it really? I did not know that Cabal Coffers was $100, but that doesn't surprise me.
Cabal Coffers is $100.
People do like that card, so
that's why it's Mythic. It's not Mythic because of like, it's that expensive for those reasons.
They're trying to not tank the secondary market, kind of a thing.
All right, so let's power level, but more retail. It's a Mythic because of retail.
Got it.
Next card. We're gonna. I got really choppy audio, but I got most of it. Let me know if you are not able to hear me though.
I can hear you mostly.
But it sounds like you can hear me loud and clear.
It's a little shenanigans that you cut out every like 30 seconds for about 2-3 seconds. But what are you gonna do? we're still happy to be here with you guys. Is there a way
for me not to see your video?
Is there a way for you to not see my video? I can remove my video from the screen, but it's gonna like you're saying for what reason? So you could put something on screen, or
just because that way I'm not. No, don't worry about it. All right, next card we're going to talk about. Let's jump a little bit ahead just so we can keep going through it. The next one, and this is the big one. I think this is the one people were most hyped about over the weekend. I still think even after all the cards were done, we definitely saw some powerful cards this week. Is Grief, right? I don't think we can do this show without talking about it. This is the card people are most excited about. The fact that it's also part of a cycle, so we're going to see 4 more of this effect. But this is a 2/black 3/2 menace. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand, and you choose an online card from it. That player discards that card, and then you can evoke it for exile a black card from your hand. So for free, minus a black card, you pitch a black card, and it goes into the battlefield. Your opponent discards a card, and then you sacrifice it, which is what evoke does. Now, people have talked a lot that this can be blinked in response to the evoke trigger. This can be given undying in response to the evoke trigger. There's a bunch of different effects you can make to kind of save this card. And the blinking one being the most powerful, being able to Thoughtseize your opponent twice on turn 1, and then on turn 2, Thoughtseize them a third time without any life loss. And you get a 3/2 menace in play.
This is if you were using
this card feels
one
busted.
white instant,
what are your thoughts?
Exiles. Yeah, if you use one white ephemerate that blinks the creature, because it has rebound, the way that works, guys, is that you exile a black card from your hand. It puts this directly into play. The way Evoke works is that it hits the battlefield and then is sacrificed. So because you would remove a card to put this into play, it would hit the battlefield. You'd have 1 mana. You would then blink it in response to the trigger, the sacrifice trigger. It would come back, get the card. Next turn, you'd be able to ephemerate rebound, hit it a 3rd time, and so you would get to cast 3 Thoughtseizes by turn 2, being left with, of course, a 3/2 menace. That particular sequence of events is really powerful and super busted, and sounds like the most miserable thing to play against I've ever heard of in my life. It sounds so miserable. But I also think that that exact sequence of events is, you need to have exactly those cards. I think this is going to be powerful. I think this is going to be a big game. I also think there's the reality of, like, if you're on the play and you have 1 white open or 1 red open, or you have a fetch land with a fatal push, and they try to evoke this and then like ephemerate in response, and they've exiled a card to be able to do that, and then you just like path, or you bolt or kill it in response, like you just hit it. They get 1 card, but they're down a card from having to do the evoke cost version of it. And they've also lost their ephemerate because it no longer targets it. So I think it's clever. It's totally clever and really cool. And it sounds really backbreaking on the play, but it also doesn't sound to me like this is going to take over the format or anything, but it's really cool. And I like the idea that this is part of a cycle. I'm excited to see the rest of the cycle.
I think a few things. Pathing this seems bad because that makes it so that they are at 3 mana on turn 2, which seems rough. But I actually don't disagree with you that I think the ephemerate game plan is win more to me. I think it's like you're discarding 3 cards from your hand to get 3 of their cards, and you end up with like a 3/2 menace on turn 3, which is fine. But not like backbreaking, and like I think this is good enough without it. Like, it's one of those things where you're putting a bunch of bad cards in your deck that like aren't that great when you should just be playing with this card in a good Jund list or a good mono black list or a good Esper list, or just like something that can take advantage of it. And like, I think this card is bonkers, right? Like, and like that doesn't even get into the world of like Legacy Dredge or even Modern Dredge, where like in Legacy Dredge, it triggers Bridge from Below. It triggers, it creates Ichorid Fodder. Like, it just does so many powerful things in that form while erasing graveyard hate that you have to worry about. Like, it's obviously insane. Yeah. In Modern, I think it's just like amazingly good, which is going to be a more important feature to the card than it, like all of the tricksy stuff that people were talking about doing. I think that's less. I think that's like, unless there's a black-white ephemerate deck, or if the white one of these also triggers with ephemerate in a way that's super exciting, I don't think that you need to go that far. I think just like in Jund, turn 1, like playing this, discarding Liliana the Veil, and then just using regular Thoughtseize, or like playing this, discard Inquisition of Co's like regular Thoughtseize on turn 1 is backbreaking enough.
Yeah, I mean, just getting 2 Thoughtseizes
that like
just getting 2
you're ahead, and then there's ways to play within the graveyard.
Yeah, it's good enough. John Lastrina asks here in the chat, I mean, it's good, but is it as good as a 1970 Dodge Charger used to perfection by Dominic Toretto? The answer to the question is probably not. Probably not, Lastrina. That the Toretto Charger is probably stronger, especially if it's going to space. But people in here are saying fun things. Cosmoson 2000 says, as an 8-rack player, I wasn't excited, but as a build around, it can be good. But as far as a card that breaks open an already established archetype, I don't see it. Go ahead. Am I coming in heavily delayed?
No. You're sorry. You're just you're breaking up a lot. So I'm trying to mute you and listen to you on chat. So the one thing I was going to say, 2 things about it, and then you can and then I'll let you go since audio is being fun. People are underestimating entering as a 4-drop. Like, just casting this for 4 mana as a 3/2 menace that does this is good. Like, that's a card that like has seen play. Obviously, you want to take advantage of it in the other. You top deck this card. It's kind of the what's the cycling for 2 5-drop with fear?
Cycling for 2 life. It's Street Wraith.
Street Wraith. So
Yes.
it's the Street Wraith mode where there's like the joke in Modern where it's like, oh, you would have won that game if you had just casted Street Wraith as a 5-mana 3/4 that attacks instead of cycling it for a worse card than that attacker. And in this case, it's like you'll just win by like casting a 3/2 menace, exiles a card or makes them discard a card from their hand, their like best 4-drop, and then you just have a threat that they can't kill ever again, and you win the game. And like that as its backup plan to it being the Thoughtseize Force of Will is like a real kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that someone did bring up in chat, I think it was Rick Scharnhorst, brought up 4 Cloud Shift on top of the Ephemerates. My only comment there is you have to convince me that like playing a deck with 8 Cloud Shift type effects or 5 effects plus 4 Cloud Shift is a bunch of dead gas. Like I'd honestly rather play this, the blue one, the white one, 4 Ephemerate, 4 Snapcaster Mage before I go to Cloud Shifts.
Right. I mean, Snapcaster, that interaction is a little expensive, but yeah, I hear you. So Alex, we are getting really difficult signal stuff here. It seems that your signal coming in from the hotel is not our friend. What shall we do? Shall we just do a short one tonight and call it a night? I mean, I cannot hear you.
So Alex, we are getting difficult signal stuff.
Why don't I try turning my camera off?
Okay. See if that's any better. I'm also now coming through audio. I can hear myself coming through the stream that you are listening to on speaker. Yeah, it's a little rough, says Move to Combat. Ben Bateman solo or reschedule, says Cosmos on 2000. I mean, I could do a solo version. That's possible. Alex appears to have left the stream. Maybe he's going to jump back in. There's some pretty sweet cards, though. I will tell you guys, there are some definitely epic cards that we have seen so far. I'll just kind of vamp for a second if we can't get Alex in here. Yeah, the issue, guys, is that in the future, we're going to be able to do much more complete streams. I have a new computer coming momentarily and OBS and the whole thing that's going to just run on that computer just fine. There's just been issues with this computer that I'm currently using in the past, and this software kind of seems to get around it and allows me to do this. But there was a ton of cool cards, obviously Grief being one of the coolest ones that we did see previewed. Another one that I think stands out to me was the Command Zone got the preview card Rise and Shine this morning. This is blue 1. It's a sorcery. Target non-creature artifact you control becomes a 0/0 artifact creature. Put 4+1/+1 counters on each artifact that became a creature this way. And then it has Overload, blue 4. So it kind of plays into the space that old and soul artifact decks played into, right? That's some of my favorite stuff. But so it's making a 4/4 instead of a 5/5. But because there are counters, what's cool about this is that it actually plays really nicely with Ensoul Artifact. So if you play Ensoul Artifact on your artifact and you swing for 5, you then play Rise and Shine on that same artifact, it becomes a 9/9, which is sick. That's really, really, really cool. That's really good, really powerful. And of course, the Overload, turning all of your creatures, all of your artifacts into at least 4/4 artifacts is very good. If you're playing an artifact heavy deck, Darksteel Citadels and the kind of things that you would play in an Ensoul Artifact deck, that gets really, really, really strong. That seems like my cup of tea. It's my favorite kind of thing to be doing. Let's find out what's going on with Alex and see if I can get a text back from him. Okay, he is trying to come back here. Alex has returned. He has returned. He's back. Can we hear you? How's it going, Alex? Not hearing anything from him just yet, but perhaps he'll jump.
Yeah, it's still bad. I mean, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you. Yeah, you're coming in, but I'm just coming in real choppy to you. Sounds like it.
Oh, that was better.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was just talking about the card Rise and Shine.
Just delayed.
Yeah, I think we either do a solo stream or we just delay this one. We gave it our best. I don't think there's any reason to subject people to a subpar reading of these cards because we're still going to want to talk about these cards when they can hear us. I don't want to do a subpar version and then not.
Yeah, we could do that later. Why don't do you want to just play some some arena or something, and I'll jump off?
Yeah, that's fine. I am trying to think if
Problem
is I'm now on
your.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Alex go, guys. I'm gonna kick him out, and I'm just gonna say goodbye to you for the next 5, and it'll just be what it'll be. Unfortunately, there's no.
I'm gonna troll you on here.
Yeah, there's no getting around it. But if Alex wants to, Alex, why don't you jump out and just troll me in the chat, and I'll spend 5 minutes talking. If you have things you want to add, we can do it that way. That seems like a good plan. I'm gonna kick him out. So things that are happening. Rise and Shine. That card is totally sweet. I'm a big fan of that one. I'll talk about 1 or 2 others before maybe I get out of here and hang with you guys. And then we can do another, conversation maybe next week where we get to all have a little bit more. I'll have a little bit more to do with this stuff. One card that stood out to me that I thought was really sweet today was Fractured Sanity. This is blue sorcery. Each opponent mills 14 cards. Each opponent mills 14 cards. It also cycles for blue 1. When you cycle Fractured Sanity, each opponent mills 4 cards. So that's pretty interesting to me. We've had, obviously, Glimpse of the Unthinkable in Modern for years, right? Blue-black, sorcery, mill 10. We had Breaking Entering, which is blue-black, mill 8. Archive Trap, obviously, if your opponent searches their library, you get to play for free, and that mills 13, which is sweet. And then there have been other cards like Sanity Grinding. That's what Fractured Sanity is a reference to. Mind Funeral. There have been a handful of cards that have done pretty powerful things, milling. A few other cards that have done more of it. There was one card that name I'm forgetting at the moment right now, but they've definitely done more. They have definitely pushed this. Bruvac is a cool card, but Fractured Sanity just being blue to mill 14, I think is particularly powerful. If I think of a deck that's playing just 4 Archive Trap, 4 Fractured Sanity, 4 Glimpse of the Unthinkable, and then there's that other blue card that I'm forgetting right now that does some Maddening Cacophony. Is that what the card's called? Did I just remember the card's name? Yeah, it might be called Maddening Cacophony, actually. And I think it's good, right? Yeah, Maddening Cacophony. Wow, look at that. Blue 1, each opponent mills 8 cards. If the spell was kicked, instead each opponent mills half their library rounded up. So it mills 8 for 2, but if you cast it for 6, it mills half. I think it's a little win more because by the time you're going to cast something for 6 in a mill deck, they probably only have about 20 to 30 cards left anyway. So it's probably going to end up being 6 to mill 10 to 15. So I actually don't think that card's as good in the deck otherwise, but I do think Fractured Sanity starts to push us into a pretty powerful direction, especially because Fractured Sanity plays with Sanity Grinding, which is that you exile a certain number. You look at the top cards of your library, certain number of them, and then equal to the number of blue mana symbols in those cards' casting costs is how many cards you mill. And so because this is blue, it plays nicely. I just don't think you'd want to be playing 4 copies of 2 triple blue spells in a deck. So I think this one is probably just better, but that's the reference in this card anyway. This card, Sanity Grinding, was blue, reveal the top 10 cards of your library for each blue mana symbol in the mana cost of the revealed cards. Target opponent puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard, then puts the cards you revealed this way on the bottom of your library in any order. So there's some pretty cool stuff that you can do in sort of the mill space. Alex jumping in here saying, the mill card. He's saying fifth would be fire. What else is he saying here? What up? Alex is just hanging. He's throwing in all kinds of fun stuff. That card stood out to me. Other cards that I saw previewed that I thought were especially cool. There was a new sword. I'll wait to talk about that with Alex. I think that's especially cool. Wonder was added to the format. That's a really cool card that I think a lot of us love. Blue 3 for a 2/2 flying incarnation. As long as Wonder is in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control gain flying. That's really, really, really cool. That's super duper cool. It looks like we just got raided, guys. So that's really, really dope. Thank you guys so much for showing up here. A big time thank you for the raid. Who raided us? I'm looking to see here. Medina! Thanks, Medina. We appreciate the raid, man. That's awesome of you. So for those of you that are just showing up, my name is Ben Bateman. I am one half of the two of us, Alex and Ben, who kind of head up the Masters of Modern, Michael Grothy being the third host. And we were going to be doing a stream talking about all of the cool previews that we've seen in Modern Horizons 2. Alex is on the road, so we were going to be doing that together. And unfortunately, the internet in his hotel kicked him off. So it is just me solo here running the stream. But that's all right. That's all right. We're happy to have you guys here. It's cool that you guys all showed up and are hanging out with us now. So thank you to everybody who has just jumped in. I'm going to talk about some of the sweetest cards. Let us know if there are any particularly cool cards that you guys want to hear me talk about a little bit tonight on the stream. I do love doing this. Profane Tutor is a card that I saw Alex actually talk about. I saw Alex actually talk about this in the chat for a second. I think it's actually a fun one. So Profane Tutor is black 1, suspend 2, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So this is suspend 2 Demonic Tutor, right? But it doesn't have a casting cost. So where this card is very interesting, it plays into the same space that we've seen so many cards over the last little while play into, where it's, not little while. I mean, the Time Spiral run of cards like Wheel of Fate, where they were basically riffs on old classic cards, but they had suspend, and so the cost was a little different. So this one now is just you're playing Demonic Tutor a couple turns later, and now it's available in Modern. Where this card is interesting is, if you guys have ever played Demonic Tutor on turn 2, you usually don't get something with it that you're doing something with. Sometimes you do, but often you're going to use the card the next turn, right? So this card is 1 turn slower than that maneuver, but you also are able to have the card cast, because when a suspend card casts, it casts without paying its mana cost. So Profane Tutor would then cast, right? But what would happen is you would get the card, you would have all of your mana available to cast that card. Where I think this card is unfortunate is if you get this card and you draw it late in the game when you're in top deck mode, now you have to wait 3 turns for this card to matter. I think that's pretty rough. It does obviously play really, really nicely alongside cards like Dreadhorde Arcanist. It plays really, really well with anything that's able to cast something from the graveyard without paying its casting cost. But I do really enjoy Profane Tutor. I think this card is very, very cool and has some good things going on. Jump back over here to Twitch for a second here. Thanks for hanging with us, guys. Looks like Kess is saying Ben's never able to resist a good mirror. That's nice of you to say, Kess. This is the House of Cards. I'm glad there's still something to keep y'all as the masters of Mondays. No, we're excited to be here, and obviously wish Alec could be hanging with me, but I'm still happy to have all of you here. We've got a chunk of people hanging with us on the YouTube side. We've also got a chunk of people hanging with us on the Twitch side. So, oh man, I'm looking on YouTube and I look out of focus because of this dumb camera setup, guys. We're gonna try to do this live on air. So it's gonna show up. You're gonna see the viewfinder. It's gonna focus me, which is gonna be. And then we're going to go back here and we're going to turn it off, and hopefully it goes away, and should be good, because it should have focused on me, and it should clear it up and no longer be blurry, because that's what happens. And it's just a dumb thing that happens with this Canon. So hopefully that worked. It looks identical to me, which is really unfortunate. Those of you that are watching the YouTube channel, guys, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button on this video. And of course, if you haven't subscribed or followed the Twitch channel, please do that as well. But we are going to keep talking about some of the other cool cards here that we are seeing that have been spoiled so far. There's some good squirrel content, guys. There's quite a few. There's quite a few good squirrels that have been dropped in our lap here. Let's talk squirrels. Let's talk squirrels, guys. It's Monday night Squirrel Talk. Chatterfang Squirrel General is green 2 for a 3/3. This one's a 3/3 Forest Walk. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens are created instead. Then for 1 black, you can sacrifice X squirrels. Target creature gets +X, -X until end of turn. So this is a really cool card. This kind of has, hey, Kess just gifted House of Cards a subscription. Kess being all generous, gifting to our channel. It's really, really nice of him. Chatterfang, obviously, this is a fun commander card. That's what this card is to me. I mean, I think this card has some potential in Modern because of the way that they're pushing squirrels. I think that's really, really cool. But I also think this card just seems really, really fun as a green-black commander. We obviously talk commander on the stream now because we play it on Mondays as well. But I definitely think that this card has some real nice play to be able to do. I would probably build a deck around this. And then for Modern, I mean, it doesn't do anything when it enters the battlefield as a 3/3 for 3, unfortunately. So it kind of doesn't check that box in Modern, which is a pretty important box to check. It's hard to play a creature for 3 in Modern that doesn't do anything when you play it. But I definitely think this card is pretty fun. I think you would be able to do some pretty cool stuff with this card. Continuing to move through some of the other cards in the squirrel world that we wanted to talk about. Squirrel Mob. which is green, green 1 for a 2/2. Squirrel Mob gets +1/+1 for each other squirrel on the battlefield. So you just got yourself a 3-mana 2/2 that could potentially be like a giganto squirrel, a huge squirrel, an out of control sized squirrel. It's that'd be a fun one. We love some big squirrels. What else? I think there was another spoiled squirrel that I saw that came out. I think it was a Squirrel Sovereign, which is a green 1 for a 2/2 Squirrel Noble. Other squirrels you control get +1/+1. If I remember correctly, Squirrel Nest, which was an old card from way back when, was reprinted in the last set. So we have you can put it on a land. That land taps to make a squirrel. And Squirrel Sanctuary for 1 green, which is an enchantment. When Squirrel Sanctuary enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you may pay 1. If you do, return Squirrel Sanctuary to its owner's hand. Oh, that's pretty cool. Squirrel Sanctuary sounds like a lot of fun, guys. There's some good. I'm feeling squirrely as we talk about this stuff. That sounds like a whole heck of a lot of fun to me, in my opinion. Look at all these fun people hanging out with us. I'm so happy to have you guys in here, and I'm so sad that Alex is just lurking in the chat, but he's not hanging out with me. You sack Squirrel, get treasure in the loop, keep their board dead, plus tons of other ways to abuse that, is what House of Cards says. So that sounds like a combo that you can run with Squirrel Sanctuary. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in here that I really particularly wanted to talk about. There's some other cool cards. I think it'd be fun to maybe talk about some of these when Alex comes back. I guess the last sort of fun one to talk about probably is the White Dragon, Timeless Dragon. It's a white 3 for a 5/5 flying. It's kind of a riff on Eternal Dragon. Plane cycling 2, and it states eternalize white 2. And so when you eternalize, exile this card from your graveyard, put a 4/4 black dragon creature, eternalize only as a sorcery. So this is Eternal Dragon is what this card is, but they've upgraded it to Timeless Dragon. So it's a 5/5. It's a 5/5 for 4. Obviously that it's a 5/5 for 4 that is super, super cool. But you can plane cycle it, you can discard it, and all kinds of fun stuff. So anyway, guys, I think probably we've had a bit of a wonky stream tonight because we've only just been able to do a small amount of hanging Alex and I together. But we wanted to make sure that we brought you a little bit of content here on a Monday night. I'm going to let Alex do his thing in Ohio and chill out. And we appreciate all you guys hanging with us and watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And we will be back next week with some very, very fun stuff to keep doing this, to keep talking. Alex says, turn on your phone. Oh, he's called me. I missed a phone call from Alex Kessler 1 minute ago. Here we go. Let's see what happens here. Okay, we're going to go. Sure. He's on speaker. He's coming in on speaker. We're going to put him up to the mic. Put him up to the mic. Yo.
Is this working?
I mean, you're on a speaker and your speaker is up to the mic. So I don't totally know how this is going to work, but we can see for at least a second.
Let's see chat. Can chat hear me?
Yeah, you guys tell us if Alex coming through here and going up to the mic is something that's working. I know, man. I was having such a good time talking about so many. They say
it works.
They say they can hear you.
All right. Okay. So first off, Void Mirror. Well, let's talk about the Squirrel combo. So Pissless Plunderer is whenever a creature dies, you make a treasure token, and then you can use that with the Chatterfang Squirrel General to go back and forth infinitely. That's the combo. So basically, whenever a treasure enters the battlefield, you make a squirrel token, and then you can use that treasure to sacrifice that squirrel token, making a treasure, then go back and forth. And so you can give -X, +X, -X to anything you play. Plus, if you have anything that like a Blood Artist, you just win the game.
Okay,
that's
got it.
Combo. So that's the combo Chatterfang that was mentioned earlier. Now, second thing, I can't believe you talked about Squirrel Sovereign, a 2-mana Lord for 2, and weren't more hyped.
I mean, I'm pretty hyped on Squirrel Sovereign. There's a lot of good Squirrel support. It's just, well, I mean, I'm pretty hyped. And we have a 2-mana Squirrel Lord. That I love me. I love me a good 2-mana Lord. And if it's referencing a squirrel, I mean, powerful squirrels. Squirrels are so pushed in this set, bro.
Well, they're the black-green draft archetype, and then we got some other spice. One of them That was the Mirror comments. Void Mirror. Have you seen this card yet?
No, maybe. Void
It's
Mirror.
Two mana artifact. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no colored mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. So counters all Eldrazi, counters all Ugin shenanigans, and counters all artifacts.
Interesting. That's a pretty sweet hate card. That does some pretty that's pretty hateful. That's pretty cool. People are
some strong spice.
So people are excited they can hear you, it seems like. There's most people say it sounds great. There's a couple people here that says it sounds about as good as before, but we're excited that you guys were sticking around with us at least for a few more minutes. But yeah, this is good that we have at least something we can do to talk about some sweet stuff on. I
think before I sounded good. The problem was that I couldn't hear what you were saying, and whenever I said anything, it would happen like 10 minutes after you said something.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else in here that I really wanted to talk about tonight. You know, I mentioned.
Wait, Void? Oh, Void Mirror also counters Cascade.
Yeah.
And Force of Negation because you don't spend any mana to cast.
Exactly. Any free spell at all, right? Any free spell.
Every free spell, every colorless spell.
You can't cost anything colorless. There's no lava darts. There's none of that stuff.
That's just a banger then. I'm all in on this card. What if does this combo with that's banned in the format anyways. It would combo with Microsynth, but that card's no longer.
Yes.
All right. So you already talked about Rise and Shine. That card's dope. I'm a big fan of the versatility of just like having a 6-drop that wins you the game that you can spend for 2 mana.
That's really good.
Did you talk about Late to Dinner yet?
I did not talk about Late to Dinner. That is 1/3 for a sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Create a food token. So this is just like a white resurrection, but instead of white 2, it's white 3, and you also get a food.
Yeah, it's like strictly better resurrection.
Yeah, basically.
Now this is something that I just think should be in white. I mean, we've talked about this before, that I think just like straight up white Reanimator for 4 mana should just be a white effect. So I'm excited to see some pushed versions of that come out in the set.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also something that makes sense to me when you think about the fact. It's also hilarious that like Resurrection in the old days was like a high level uncommon that was like really good, and that effect sometimes is rare and sometimes is uncommon, and this is just a common, like just common Resurrection basically. It's pretty good. So,
what about, have you talked about Sarah's Emissary, the new Iona?
I have not talked about that one. That one is white 4. And this is an angel. It's a 7/7 flying. When Sarah's Emissary enters the battlefield, choose a card type. You and creatures you control have protection against the chosen card type. So yeah, it's in the same vein as Iona. It's obviously a little cheaper and it's a little more narrow, but it is a 7/7 flying angel for 7 that has like a pretty backbreaking effect. It's pretty good.
It's another in a long list of good Reanimator spells. The key thing about this one is it is not legendary, which means you can find it with the new Entomb effects. Unmarked Grave, 1 in a black, sorcery, search your library for a non-legendary card and put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle. What's also cool is it's not non-legendary creature card. It's any non-legendary cards. You can get Galomes. You can get your life from the loams. You can get your life. You can get other dredge cards that are currently good.
Yeah, pretty powerful. I'm going to give us a 5 more minute clock here before I get us out of here. So what do you want to talk about before we roll? We haven't talked about Thrasta Tempest's Roar yet. This is the green 10/7/7 legendary dinosaur. Costs 2 less for each other spell you cast this turn. Trample, haste. Trample over planeswalkers whenever it has.
Trample over planeswalkers is a cool ability.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I think this is. I don't think it's quite good enough. I want it to be good enough. It might just be if it had extras forever, I'd be more hyped on it. I just think the payoff to get it to be affordable isn't high enough. What is cool is it's the living version of the 3 mana 7/7 dinosaur that you have to discard a card every turn.
Oh yeah. Thrasta Tempest Roar. Totally. Yeah, that card is called Rotting Regiosaur.
Yes, it is the living version of a Rotting Regiosaur.
Dino Storm says Cosmoson 2000. Yeah, I mean, if you get a storm thing going, you get a gigantic 7/7. It does feel like you kind of have to be storming. I don't really know if there's a way you can get this down to 2 mana if you're not storming. 4 spells in Modern, like, I guess it's possible, but there aren't enough free spells that draw you cards. Manamorphose is the most important card you'd play with this because it's in green, and it would replace itself and get you. So, like, if they gave us a functional reprint of Manamorphose, if there was 8 of those in the format, then this could be really good. This could be really interesting.
Well, you can play with Burning Tree Emissary. Like Burning Tree Emissary, like it could be like a Burning Tree Emissary.
That's true.
Manamorphose, Thrasta, Mercipurian. Like I guess I'm surprised you're not even more excited. That's a great.
I actually hadn't even really thought about the fact that Thrasta is perfect in that deck. That's like so much more dope than I was even thinking. And like there's Burning Tree, and then there's the other one, the Revolt one. So you have 8 of them.
And you can play Bloodbraid Elf in that deck, which cascades into Mercipurian, and then also like can like cascade into a Manamorphose that you then can use to cast Thrasta.
Yeah, that seems really sweet. Is there some way to like take advantage of the giant casting costs, like equal to like damage equal to its casting cost, kind of a thing, or like something like that? There must be, right?
That probably exists. Yeah.
Yeah, Hidden Herbalist. That's what the chat's reminding me of. All right, so let's talk our last card before we get out of here, because I know I wanted to save this.
We're going quick. Rishadan Dockhand.
Okay.
You got Rishadan Port in the format. We got Merfolk who's got a 1 mana, 1/2 Island Walk, 1 mana tap target land that goes along with your Spreading Seas to just basically like remove the ability for decks to cast spells in Merfolk now.
Yeah, I mean, this card is one of the best Merfolk printed in a really long time, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
What else we got? On the other side, last 2 cards. I got 2 more cards to talk about.
Okay.
The first one is Espada de Morada y Hogar. I have to click on it. It's in Spanish or Italian. I don't know. It's an artifact equipment. Sword of Home and Hearth.
That's the one.
The equipped creature gets +2/+2 into protection from green and from white. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target creature you own. Then search your library for a basic land card. Put both cards on the battlefield under your control, and then shuffle. So you get a blink. You get a land into play untapped.
Yeah, you get it's sort of the Animist, while also being a blink card.
And all the other important protection sword specifications of +2/+2 protection from green and white. I love this card. This is, I think, my favorite of the new ones, including the Modern Horizon 2 ones printed. Like, those are both really good effects. I've done much more backbreaking things. Like the fact that, you can blink Stoneforge, Jimbo Slyzor has brought up, which I think is fire. Now, the fact that the land comes in untapped as well is also like a big game. So,
I didn't even notice that it came in untapped. That's really good. That's a big deal.
Yeah. So if you if you do damage with this, the land that it finds and the land that you put into play for that turn both can then equip it to a new thing if you blink, or can re-equip it if you blink the creature was attached to. Pro white is also like super relevant. Pro green is decent. It's better than it used to be. But being pro white's pretty good. I'm pretty excited. I really do hope we get blue black, and I hope we get red green this set. I think I'll be sad if we only get 2 of them and we don't get the third, because we're missing 2 now.
Yeah, right. I'll bet you they give us all 3 in this set, because I think saving only 1 for another set seems kind of jank, right? Having a single sword show up somewhere.
I think they could give us only this one.
Oh, okay.
Like do the middle. Like this could be it. We might not get the next. We might have to wait for the next 2 until the future, or we get all 3. I think it's either all 3 or this would be 1. I think it would be weird to leave 1 left over for the future.
Yeah, people like this cycle, so it definitely seems. So
now the last.
Go ahead.
Last card. And this is. I guess you're not. I mean, I feel like you're a big Dakon guy. I feel like Dakon Shadow Slayer would have been a bigger. You'd be more hyped. Blue, black, white Esper Legendary Planeswalker. It enters the battlefield with a number of loyalty counters on him equal to the number of lands you control. This is a reference to the fact that Dakon has always and the Black Blade have both been a big reference to how many lands you control. +1 Surveil 2. Surveil's back. -3 exile target creature. -6 you may put an artifact card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield.
There's a parallel. There's a cool like piece of parallel design here, right? Where it's 3 mana for 3 loyalty. In theory, if you have 3 to cast it, and then you -3 to exile target creature, so it does kind of act as a 3 mana sorcery speed exile target creature if that's what you want it to be, which I appreciate. But it also means that later in the game, if you top deck this, it can bridge between medium mana and tons of mana in a giant Esper deck, and you can set minus it to put an artifact card. Like you can like minus this to put Blightsteel into play, like something huge like that.
And it like it feels a little bit Teferi in some ways in that sense, where like because 5-mana Teferi is a 3-mana planeswalker because it untaps, right? Well, Dakon, if you just hold on to it until turn 6. You can play it for 3 mana and then hold up 3 mana to counter anything and put Blightsteel into play or whatever you need to put into play to be able to counter it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Also, the synergy between Surveil, the plus Surveil, and then the minus is really, really good because it can put it into play from your graveyard, which I really appreciate.
Right.
So like that's really, really cool synergy.
Like if your opponent does enmity threats in play, just playing this on turn 3 and surveilling, then like makes you have like a legitimate threat that will just eat every creature they play for the rest of the game, which is super powerful. But like that late game, this is so good because it scales up, so you're able to immediately ultimate or get multiple exile effects off of it on turn 6, or just keep surveilling and dig for the next best card in your deck, or put cards in your graveyard that you need to be there later. Like I think he might actually be a little underrated right now. He is Esper, which means you have to play those 3 colors, but Esper Control has started seeing a lot of play recently, and there's other really good effects there for those color combos. And even just like because of grief and because of force negation, this now has the color pitch of maybe the 2 most important pitch cards in the format.
Yeah,
right? Like you could use this to pitch to either half of those. So like even that's kind of a big game. I don't know. I'm pretty hyped on this guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dakon's pretty sweet. We'll see how good it is. Really, it's a little janky in the sense that like. Surveil's fine.
We're already running Esper Charm. I feel like I'd play one less Esper Charm and play a few Dakons over it.
Yeah, I think Dakon's cool. I'm a fan. I'm not obsessed, but I'm a fan. So, guys, we are going to let you go. We've been live for just shy of an hour. Alex, enjoy beautiful Ohio. We will for sure come at you with the rest of our thoughts next week, as well as our preview cards will be next week. Thanks for sticking with us and hanging with us. And otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, make sure Monday and Tuesday. I don't think we'll be doing a stream next Monday. It's one of the reasons I wanted to make sure I wanted to do one tonight because I knew we were missing next week. But we will be releasing. We have 2 preview cards, one for Monday and Tuesday. So make sure to take a look at the YouTube channel both days to get a look at those. We will also be previewing one of the cards we have. It does have a full art, and we'll be previewing that on our my TikTok at Guess Wiley. And then also hit follow and subscribe. We got a bunch of new emotes. They're great. They're really cute. They're by Inkling Customs. Make sure to follow her. She's really great. And we have like Angry Ben, and I'm dabbing, and now me and Tappy can dab together, and Spike Peters can join in. And it's super hype. We're really, really excited. And make sure to check out our episode we released earlier today. There's a whole thing on the new way pro play might look like in the future.
Who should we raid? Should we raid Emma Skyward?
Sure.
All right, we're gonna raid Emma Skyward, guys. Let's go and say hello. Thank you so much for hanging with us tonight. We appreciate it very much. Alex, have a wonderful evening, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Perfect. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.